is an ASMR video meant for relaxation as well as entertainment. Please adjust your audio and use headphones for the best viewing experience. The video also contains strong language, acts of violence, and suggestive sexual content. Viewer discretion is advised. A ruined metropolis. A city no longer filled with life or purpose. Its streets were now populated with decayed reminders of the world that once was, and the evil that has taken its place. Across the concrete terrain, a single individual traversed the dead landscape. The sound of his engine echoed through the concrete ruins like rolling thunder. A man clothed in a long coat, shirt, and jeans rode silently. The rider's eyes stayed sharp and focused on the abandoned road. The Book of Michael. Chapter 1. The hero of Los Diablos. The rider bobbed and weaved through the old and forgotten highway. Abandoned cars, broken concrete, decaying bodies. This city was filled to the brim with debris and trash without anyone to clean the mess. The bike slid across the pavement as the rider slammed down upon the brakes. After cutting off the engine, he turned to face the brutal world around him. The rider closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and listened. He had rode many miles out of the way, tracking this noise down. To come this far, only to lose the trail, would be a shame. The rider listened patiently to the sounds of a dead city. Hearing past the scurrying of flies, rats, and roaches, he was listening for something specific. Someone help me. His eyes widened upon hearing the cry for help. Gripping the handles tightly, he prepared to find the source of the plea. The wheel began to spin wildly, ready to speed off. With haste, the rider zoomed off the edge of the broken freeway with a cloud of dust trailing behind. The bike soared through the air with reckless abandon. He landed on the city street below before driving off through the metropolis labyrinth. Elsewhere, down at the end of an alley, a single person stood tired and exhausted. A young cry wailed constantly. A woman struggled to catch her breath while she rested for a moment. Someone, anyone. Her moment of reprieve was over. The woman sprinted down the dark and grimy alleyway. In the bundle of cloth she carried, a young baby cried out in panic. "Please be quiet, baby." The voices of two men followed her with every step. "Where you going, bitch? Could you stop fucking around and just catch her already?" Stumbling in a panic, she picked herself up and continued to run. "Fine, damn it. Hand me that. Kobe." A dirty brick slammed against the back of her head. "Boom! Headshot, motherfucker." She's still moving after taking a brick to the head. "Tough bitch." She struggled for breath. Just let us go. We did nothing wrong." Two men, branded with the number 6 on their heads, stood over her as she continued to beg for her and her child's well-being. The thinner man had a puzzled look on his face. "Let you go? Why would we want to do that?" "Nah, bitch. We're gonna have some fun." The fat six eagerly began to unzip his pants. Afterwards, he grabbed the woman by the ankle and began to pull her close. Be quick about it this time. The others are nearby and I don't want them stealing our find. And be sure to leave the baby untouched this time. I'm starting to get a bit peckish. The large man began to press down upon her, readying himself for his business. I still don't get why you like to eat kids. Despite the act, for them it was just another day, and carried on just as such. Dogs, cats, the occasional rat. I wouldn't say no to a dead body if it was still warm. But kids, I mean, there's barely any meat on their bones. Almost completely uninterested with what was unfolding, his thin comrade was focused on cleaning his nostrils. Idiot, I told you last time. Babies taste like veal. A loud sound reverberated off in the distance. The roaring noise bounced off the walls of nearby buildings. The fuck is that? It's killing my mood. How the hell should I know? In a city robbed of life and sound, it almost sounded like a roaring lion. The rider swooped around a street corner, his eyes locked onto the situation like a falcon. Who the hell are you? The rider cut off his engine. The silence of the dead street returned. Placing his foot on the ground caused dust to be kicked up into the air. The rider stared at them without speaking a word. Are you fucking deaf or retarded? I asked you a question. You know the drill. Show us your 6 and tell us what camp you're from. Come on, show us your brand. Their suspicion grew. It was not often in this day and age for someone to wander without belonging to someone. After a lack of confirmation to their inquiry, the two of them stopped playing with their food and readied themselves to protect their find. The rider dismounted his motorcycle, never taking his eyes off the situation. Come on, bitch. Let's take a look at this asshole. The two 6s began to approach the newcomer. The woman moaned in pain as she was dragged across the concrete. Whoa, would you look at that? It's a pretty boy with a pretty mouth. Want to have some fun with us? Well, take a number, fag. He looks like he has some stamina. I don't mind working up an appetite before eating. Or maybe we should just kill this guy. I don't like that eat shit look on his face. It seemed that the 6's words fell through deaf ears. He was too concentrated on something else. Hey, asshole. What are you looking at? It became obvious that the woman and child had his attention. Oh no you don't. This bitch is our find. You're not gonna take her away from us. The rider fervently looked at the thug with eyes of fury. Now you better fuck off before I tear your new asshole as well. The obese thug's hand was quickly snatched by the stoic stranger. The sound of cracking bone rattled out as the 6's hand was tightly crushed. My hand, you motherfucker. In a blink of an eye, Knuckles collided with the 6's face. His cheekbone shattered, accompanied by a spray of blood and flesh. The rider drilled his foot into the 6's belly, shoving his heavy frame into his comrade. Get off me, you heavy ass. Freeing himself from the obese corpse, the 6 tried to regain his composure. Where the hell did they go? He looked down at his once comrade's limp body. His mind raced, trying to make sense of what had happened. I'm gonna need some backup. Taking the woman by the hand, the rider led with determined steps through the dark and deserted office building. Where are you taking me? She continued to limp as he pulled her along. After traveling through the winding corridors, his eyes locked onto a suitable hiding spot. Alright, this should be far enough. Inside was an untidy custodian supply room filled with brooms, rags, and various cleaning chemicals. A janitor's closet. Stay in here and don't make a noise. But it smells like bleach in here, and it's a bit cramped. Slam. He interrupted her complaints by closing the door swiftly. Beggars can't be choosers, they used to say. Ignoring her comments from within, he slid an old metal cabinet in front of the closet door. Walking down the darkened hallway once again, he took a few deep breaths to steel himself. The rider could feel his fingers clench, anticipating the danger to come once he stepped outside. Focused and ready for the challenge ahead, the rider opened his eyes to what awaited his return. Greeting him was an entire gang of sixes, each one having a vile look in their eyes. One guy, you shit your pants over one guy. What are you, some kind of pussy? The thin six could feel his allies' disapproval on the back of his head. Fear of being seen as weak drilled into his mind. Shut up, you shitheads. This guy is something else. How many people have begged for their lives? How many have crumbled under the weight of their viciousness? Damn, something felt off. He could see it in the rider's eyes. A mass of muscle strolled up from behind the crowd, shoving anyone in his path aside.
Move, bitch. Get out the way.
He could barely contain his excitement towards violence.
I want to test my new strength.
The giant stood, towering above, sneering down with a vile grin. He loved and enjoyed his newfound form. It was a shape given through trade, not earned. His large arm curled and flexed as he prepared to slam his hand down upon the rider.
I'm gonna tear you apart.
The mountain of a man gasped in pain as the wind was knocked out of him. The rider had buried his elbow deep into the brute's abdomen. He curled over like a felled tree. What did I tell you, idiots? Now kill this bastard. His allies looked down at him, not budging a single inch. We don't take orders from you, ass face. The thin six smirked with the string he was about to pull. If you don't, I will be sure to tell the boss about this. Thoughts of who they were enslaved to ran through their minds. They knew the consequences of being cowardly. Fucking tattletale bullshit. Better the devil you know than the devil you don't. The gang began to close ranks around the rider, their eyes filled with determination for his quick demise. Ping! The rider barely managed to move out of the way. The six's metal bat slammed into his felled comrade. Smack! The rider was quick to retaliate with a swift counterstrike. This was a situation one could only punch their way out of. A corrupted female jumped on the rider's back with knife in hand. Got ya! She raised the blade, preparing her muscles to shove the dirty shank into his chest. A determined look of fury painted the rider's eyes, unfazed by her surprise attack. A strange reaction emanated from his back. The sound of cooking meat could be heard. Fuck, it burns. Her body fell back instinctively from the terrible sensation. She howled in pain, not expecting the searing heat. Swinging his fist around, the rider threw a backward haymaker punch into her cheek. Retribution for getting too close. Moving in to strike, another six sprinted towards the rider's blind side. His fist was clenched tightly, ready to do his worst. A clean hit. The thug felt his knuckles strike true into the rider's jaw. But, despite being surrounded, it was obvious to see the difference between combat experience. It did not stop them from trying to take advantage of their superior numbers. A six jumped from behind, ready to bury the steel pole into his target's head. Throwing his arms up in time, the rider managed to prevent the thug from bashing his head in with the weapon. life spun on a collision course for the two of them, each of their eyes widened in suspense, knowing full well the oncoming danger. Moving out of the way in the nick of time, the blade buried itself in his attacker's chest. The rider's vision cut through the fray to see the perpetrator. His gaze caught hold of a singular individual outside the edge of combat. A boy, branded with a 6 as well, carried a menacing look on his face. His hands were preoccupied as they digged through a worn leather bag. Retrieving another knife, the boy continued to throw deadly steel with pleasure. The rider dodged and weaved around the spinning blades, approaching ever closer until he overshadowed the young attacker. With a swift kick, the rider slammed the heel of his boot into the kid's face. The force of the blow sent the young 6 flying. Mercy is a rare luxury in this deadly age, even for children. As the fight continued, the large brute struggled to catch his breath.
That bastard. Huh.
Wheels of evil thoughts turned in his mind. Slam! The fight turned into a storm of limbs crashing against bone. Peck! Keeping an eye on so many opponents would be difficult for any experienced fighter, even more so against those who do anything to win.
Choke on this shit.
The massive 6 slammed the slab of concrete into the rider's face.
Yeah, boy. Did you guys see that? You like that? You like that shit? I'm fucking amazing.
It didn't take much to float their ego. The silent guardian rose up, rubbing his nose on his sleeve. He knew the time for holding back was over. Standing up and regaining his footing, the rider reached back and grabbed the strange object on his back firmly. He swung its heavy weight around him. Hey, do you know what the hell that is? Actually, the rider slowly began to unwrap the cloth that covered the strange item. I have no fucking idea. Each 6 stood and watched. What? Throwing down the long strip of cloth, a blazing light enveloped the street. The strange sight filled each of the 6s with terror. What the fuck? Shh, be quiet, baby. The wounded mother tried to console her crying child in the darkness. Just sleep already. The door swung open. Light began to cut through the darkness. How are you doing in here? Oh, we are okay, I suppose. He walked off, back down the shadowed corridor. Hey, where are you going? She chased after him without delay. Hold on. Stop for a second. Seeing the aftermath of the fight outside left her speechless. It looked like a bomb went off. Blood and bone, mangled limbs, fragments too small to be called a corpse. Everything was coated in embers of blue fire. Hey! Shouting only made her impatience more apparent. I'm talking to you, damn it. The quiet rider stood up. He stared at her with a stoic expression as a silent pause hung in the air. Get on. The woman's eyes inspected the bike with disbelief. How are we supposed to fit on this? There's only room for one. I guess we will have to find something. Interrupting her, the rider pulled the woman up by the collar of her shirt, lifting her off the ground. The rider cradled her between his arms as he held onto the motorcycle handles. Well, I guess this works. The infant giggled with glee. With haste, the motorcycle departed, only leaving a trail of dust and debris. Within the burning piles of flesh and stone, something moved within the blue inferno. The thin 6 peeked his head out to see if the rider had disappeared. Is he gone? Fear had overtaken his once proud tone. The six turned back and relaxed. Once alone, feelings of defeat began to sink in. Holy shit, what a fucking nightmare. All of them dead. No way. There's no way I could have fucking known. I better go tell the boss about this. Picking himself up, the six clutched his wounds tightly. He continued to limp away, traveling only in shadow. Hi everyone. Thank you for watching. I have been working on this in my spare time for almost 5 months now, so I sincerely appreciate your patience. If you enjoyed my work, please like, comment, and subscribe. Also, feel free to show your support by heading over to my Patreon page. If you still want more animated tingles, be sure to check out some of my previous artwork. Once again, thank you, and have a nice day.